Hello, everybody. Dave Neal here, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. It is the day of reckoning in Bachelor Nation. A hurricane, a perfect storm emerges. So many storylines, so much to get into. In this one, we have Blake Horstmann warning Rachel Recchia of Nick Viall's nefarious ways. Blake says, "Do not go on this man's podcast. He talks trash on people, then hopes they will have to come on his podcast to address it. Don't give him the satisfaction." So Blake Horstmann receives thousands of likes for basically saying, Nick's trying to probe at you. He's baiting you to come on so you can defend yourself. And Blake says, don't do it. So he sends a welcome warning from one alumni to another. And of course, this is the fight that just spans generations. We have the Montagues, right? The warring neighbors fighting Nick and Blake for generations upon generations. They bring the new mix in. They get Katie Thurston into it. Then the next season, they get Rachel Recchia into it. And it's just a long lineage of mud and food fights being thrown at each other. And we love it. We love it. That's it. We love it. Follow me on Instagram at DNeals, patreon.com/Dave Neal for behind the scenes content. I'm going to be going live later today with some behind-the-scenes exclusive information regarding the stories of the day. The lead story, did Eric Pull It Jed? We have a two-part series. I'm not going to share any of it here, but it's just a fascinating expose where Eric's ex, whom he left to go on The Bachelorette, exposes him with text messages, screenshots, stories, Reality Steve's response after talking to her on the phone. This is fascinating stuff, folks. Way more interesting than anything the show could put together. And then, of course, we just released How It Ends with Rachel and Tino. The spoiler, I'm not going to share it in this video, but Rachel says, and then you went back against what you said, and then we get into the spoiler of what actually went down. It lives up to the hype. Check that video out if you haven't already, if you want to see the spoiler. If you don't, that's fine too. So now we wonder, is Rachel in an okay place? We want to make sure Rachel's okay. We're going to get into that story. We're going to get into her clapback to Nick. We shared it yesterday. It got 25,000 views, top performing video. Of all the content out there, the video that performs the best is Rachel being empowered and clapping back publicly on Nick's TikTok. All right, in the meantime, we have Grocery Store Joe attending a fashion show with Serena Pitt, and it says, Grocery Store Joe trying to stay awake at a fashion show is the funniest thing ever. Let's have a watch. You have to wait until the end. There he is. We all know how it goes. The head gets heavy. He's been partying. Come on, he's 57 years old. Got that nice music. He doesn't want to be there, you know. He was stayed up last night late. So there he is, still doing it. Oh, boy. Pray for Grocery Store Joe. We hope he's okay. And what else do we have here? So we're going to get into it. So Nick made a TikTok right here. We played it yesterday. I won't play the full thing, but he just calls out Rachel for smiling as she leaves Avon.
Rachel broke up, and she's smiling.
So he uses that as an indicator that she was happy to break up with him and strung him along and says, hey, look, we all have to do it. It's part of the game. And look, stringing people along is part of the game. You have to pursue all of your relationships. And of course, some people say, well, Rachel did what Clayton did, which was only take care of herself and not have empathy for others. I don't think that's exactly the case here. I think she did have good feelings for Avon. I think it was challenging for her. And of course, afterwards, she says this, Avon and I had a nice moment at the door after something very difficult for both of us. I was trying to hold it together. Nick's response to people want you on the pod. We want to get to know the real you. It will be a great conversation and a chance to share your POV, of which Blake responds, do not go on this man's podcast. He talks trash on people, then hopes that they will have to come on his podcast to address it. Don't give him the satisfaction. And that got tons and tons of replies. And someone tagged me in this comment thread, and I said, you better believe I'll make a story out of this. Blake pays for my dog's vet bills with the clapbacks. And Blake's not hiding his opinion. They tried to play it fair. They tried to play it fun. But now he's out there and he is seeking blood. No F's given. And if you aren't familiar with the Blake v. Nick storyline, it actually goes back a long time. We've covered it extensively here. We have a playlist. You can watch all of it. But to really sum it all up, it essentially goes like this. This is sort of a Russian dolls of the storyline as I've been covering it.
But from what I remember, she was obviously beautiful and a lot of fun to be around. She's the life of the party.
A lot of fun.
Yeah, she's
like, all right, so there it is. So there it is. All right, so there it is. Okay, that's it, folks. That's the whole nutshell of the Blake and Nick storyline. Now, people are coming to Rachel's defense. Let's listen to this TikToker right here. get into it. Dawn's Drea is her name. Hold on, we're waiting. We're buffering, folks. The anticipation here. She says she may have signed up for a reality TV series, but she did not sign up for this. Let's refresh. And the mention.
All right.
Here it is.
I gotta talk about the Bachelorette tonight.
Go for it.
Rachel, girl, I am feeling for you after this evening's episode.
Yeah, look at her. So this was after part 1. Of course, I'm going to pause it because of the licensed music. We're just going to try to break it up a little bit here. But this is after part 1 where Rachel clearly looks heartbroken.
I know that she signed up to be on a reality TV show, but no one on the planet deserves to go through what she went through tonight. And I am not talking about a break.
So there we have Gabby looking joyous, although I'm sure Gabby's mood has changed after finding out Eric's storyline. And then there's Rachel saying, does the check clear yet? Because this ain't worth $100,000. Or is it? I'm sure in hindsight it will be.
I am talking about the fact that she has to rewatch something that clearly traumatized her. It not only in front of a live audience, but in front of people who, like thousands of people, probably.
Oh man, and she's not hiding it. And you know what? Maybe this is cathartic. Maybe this is, we hope that the show provides them the mental health experts that they can use and all that. I think after the part 2 finale, we're gonna see Rachel being rallied around. Now look, maybe she's. Who knows? Is she maybe she's not ready for the right guy or what? Who knows? She's still young. She's beautiful. She has her whole life ahead of her. So I'm sure if it works out with Tino, because by the way, guys, we don't know how it ends. The story is so ongoing. I'm telling you right now, even if you listen to the spoiler, Reality Steve doesn't know how it ends. It's just ongoing. The show might not end after part 2. This is why people follow the contestants so heavily when the show's over, because it'll be ongoing. There's going to be a lot coming out. It's not like they've had 4 or 5 months to regain their feelings. It is rough out there on the streets.
Probably millions at this point. That
She's like,
is
okay.
gut-wrenching. You can tell that she has so many insecurities and anxieties, and this is body language of someone who has depression.
I completely agree.
I just deeply hope that someone gave her the biggest hug tonight.
And we're going to rally around Rachel. It doesn't mean she batted 1,000 and she's perfect here, but Rachel, just like Clayton and just like everyone else, deserves to have the grace that it's a very stressful and tough situation. Date Card Pod, by the way, chiming in. I didn't mention this earlier. After the way Nick treated Katie on his podcast, no woman lead would feel safe to go on. Wowie. Wowie, wowie, wowie. Date Card says, here for the women standing against his condescending ass. So, of course, Rachel's got bigger fish to fry. It's not just Nick. She's got all of Bachelor Nation scrutinizing what she's got going on. Here was the video we made yesterday, if you want to see behind the scenes. I'll share with you, we're having the biggest 3-day views since Rachel Kirkconnell and Matt James. And I will share that with you on the next Patreon if you want to see the full amount of revenue that comes from these different storylines, which this is what's out there, and I like to show it to you guys on the Patreon to give you a full look at what's actually going down. Now, here is Rachel's last TikTok. It says, "You're so vain." I'm not going to play it for you. And she pulls off the old lip gloss is popping, and she's doing her thing. Eyebrow game's on point. This is listen. We lost it there. And anyway, she's looking good, and she's feeling a certain mood, and we're looking forward to that, to what Rachel has going on next. Again, like we said, we don't know how it ends. Now, as far as it ended with Clayton's season, he's living the good life. Clayton and Susie are just happily going about their thing. He's looking for them to buy a home in Scottsdale, Arizona. She's living in LA. They're making content together. And we remember on Rachel's season, this season of The Bachelorette, we remember Rachel was saying, hey, why can't these be, at least Clayton was sharing his emotions. At least Clayton was a certain way. These guys aren't getting there for me. So it just makes you wonder with the turnaround, was it too tight of a turnaround for Rachel to go from the devastation of Clayton's season directly into The Bachelorette? In previous years, they probably wouldn't have had such a turnaround, but, there's like this sort of like justice for Rachel, justice for Gabby moment where it led to the first ever full season where we had 2 Bachelorettes. Now, I'm happy for Clayton and I'm happy for Susie, but one of the things that Nick had actually said in his TikTok was, let me see if I can find it, which I believe, but it's kind of tough because Nick responded to Rachel yesterday saying, because people are People are able to answer tough questions, be vulnerable, and accountable for their choices. Always come out looking better after. See Clayton Eckhart. So Nick's justification for wanting Rachel on his podcast was, well, look, when I had Clayton on, he came out looking better after. And then somewhere down the line, Nick says something like, let's see here. I imagine Rachel relates more to Clayton now. Now, look, I agree with that statement. I'm sure Rachel now, if she was, at an airport bar and she ran into Clayton years later, they could both sling a couple drinks and go, yeah, it's tough. I get it now, Clayton. I get what you have to go through. But at the same time, I think it's important for Bachelor Nation as a whole, the audience as we are, to lay off a little bit on how we judge them and know that it's a situation we've never been in, and it's incredible. Let me know what you guys think. Like I said, I'll have the Patreon up this afternoon if you want to be a part of it. Patreon.com/Dave Neal. We have so much other content to get to. I have to run my dog to the vet, get some vaccines as we prep for our wedding in Mexico, which is exactly 30 days away. More info on that on the Patreon if you want to be a part of the celebrations, the love that exists out there. We'll talk to you all in a little bit. Bye, guys.